The distress signal pierced through the void of space like a dying star's final scream. Ambassador Kelthera of the Zorathian Collective clutched her translator device as the garbled message played through the council chamber's speakers for the third time. This is research vessel, Luminara. Catastrophic hull breach. Oxygen depleting. 17 souls aboard. Requesting immediate assistance. The assembled representatives of the Galactic Council sat in their ornate seats, antenna twitching, scales shifting, and various appendages fidgeting with discomfort. The Luminara was a Velcran science ship, one of the oldest spacefaring species in the known galaxy, and it was dying somewhere in the disputed Terran border region. The vessel is 8 light hours from the nearest council station, High Arbiter Queln announced, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. By the time we mobilize a rescue fleet, the crew will have perished. Protocol dictates we record their final moments for archival purposes and notify their families. Kelthera felt her chest tighten. Protocol, always protocol. In the 15,000 years of the Galactic Council's existence, they had perfected the art of bureaucracy, but had somehow lost the urgency of compassion. Space was vast and rescue operations were expensive. The mathematics of survival rarely favored the stranded. There is one complication, Queln continued, his voice carrying that peculiar flatness that meant he was about to deliver unwelcome news. The distress call has been intercepted by the humans. A collective shudder rippled through the chamber. Humanity, the newcomers, the strange bipeds from the water world called Earth. They had joined the galactic community merely 2 centuries ago, and in that brief time, they had become something of a controversial presence. They asked too many questions, ignored too many rules, and displayed an unsettling tendency to act before thinking. What is their response? Kelthera asked, though she suspected she already knew. They've dispatched a ship, Queln said, his tone suggesting this was somehow a breach of etiquette. The UESN Indomitable, a military frigate. They're attempting a rescue. Impossible, declared Councillor Vex, his crystalline body refracting the chamber's light into 1,000 disapproving fragments. The Indomitable is stationed at the Kepler Defense Array. That's 12 light hours from the Luminara's position. Even if they departed immediately, they would arrive 4 hours after the Velcron crew's oxygen reserves are exhausted. Kelthera accessed her datapad, pulling up the human's ship specifications. The Indomitable was indeed too far away, traveling at conventional speeds. But then she noticed something that made her breath catch. They're not using conventional speeds, she whispered. The chamber fell silent. Explain, Queln demanded. They've engaged their experimental drive system, the one they demonstrated last year, the one we told them was too dangerous for practical use. Kelthera's fingers danced across her pad, calculating trajectories and fuel consumption rates. They're burning through their entire deuterium reserve. At this rate, the Indomitable will arrive at the Luminara's coordinates in 73 minutes, but they'll barely have enough power left to maneuver, let alone make it back to a refueling station. Madness, Vex proclaimed. They'll save the Velcron crew only to doom their own. But Kelthera was reading the communications log, watching in real time as the human captain coordinated with the Luminara. Captain Sarah Chen of the Indomitable was speaking directly to the frightened Velcron scientists, her voice steady and calm despite the insanity of her mission. Hold on, Luminara. We're coming for you. Nobody gets left behind, not on our watch. The phrase made no logical sense to the translator, but somehow its meaning was perfectly clear. The next hour was the longest of Kelthera's life. The council chamber, usually so formal and detached, transformed into something resembling the humans' mission control centers. Representatives crowded around holographic displays, watching the Indomitable's impossible approach. The human ship was glowing white-hot from the friction of pushing matter itself to its limits, her hull integrity dropping by the second. But she never slowed. When the Indomitable reached the Luminara, she had exactly 11 minutes of oxygen remaining. The humans deployed their rescue pods, their marines moving with practiced precision through the vacuum, cutting through the Velcron ship's twisted hull, pulling out scientists who had all but accepted their deaths. 17 souls extracted in 9 minutes. But then the situation worsened. The Indomitable's power reserves were at 3%, not enough to open a jump corridor back to friendly space. They were stranded, all 34 humans and 17 Velcrons floating in the void with enough life support for maybe 72 hours. Captain Chen's voice came through the council speakers, calm as ever. Council Station Alpha, This is Captain Chen of the UESN Indomitable. Mission accomplished. 17 Velcron souls safe aboard. We're going to need a tow, though. We'll be here waiting. Chen out. The chamber erupted into chaos. Some demanded the humans be sanctioned for their recklessness. Others argued for an immediate rescue mission. But it was Kelthera who stood, her voice cutting through the noise. Mobilize everything we have, she commanded. I don't care about fuel costs or protocol. We have 3 days to save 51 souls who proved something we had forgotten. She looked at each council member in turn. They showed us what we've lost in our 15,000 years of civilization. Not efficiency, not logic, but the fundamental belief that every life is worth saving regardless of the cost. The rescue fleet reached the Indomitable 67 hours later. When Captain Chen stepped onto the council station, exhausted and flanked by the grateful Velcron scientists, Kelthera was there to meet her. Your actions were illogical, dangerous, and violated 17 different spacefaring protocols, Kelthera said formally. Captain Chen smiled tiredly. Yes, ma'am. They were. They were also, Kelthera continued, feeling something she hadn't experienced in decades. Exactly what we needed to see. Welcome to the galaxy, humanity. I think we've been waiting for you longer than we knew. As news of the rescue spread through the stars, the galaxy began to understand what made humanity different. Not their technology, not their weapons, but their stubborn, beautiful, irrational refusal to accept that some lives were not worth saving. In a cosmos governed by cold mathematics, they had introduced a new variable. Hope, multiplied by courage, divided by absolutely nothing at all. The equation for once balanced perfectly.